25 common misconceptions about the United States that simply aren't true. Really excited to jump into this. Before we do, I appreciate if you guys can hit that subscribe button down below. And I am posting extra content to my Patreon page. Link is in the description. But yeah, let's jump into this and check out this 25.
The United States often draws a lot of flack from the rest of the world for everything.
Okay.
From its foreign policy to the way it runs its domestic affairs.
Right.
In fact, it seems like there are few things that can divide the world more evenly and more strongly than asking people what their opinion is of the United States.
Yo!
Everyone has an opinion.
Fair enough, fair
Even
enough.
in the same city, you'll meet people who fall on the extreme sides of the spectrum.
Okay.
But what is it exactly that causes America to be so messed up? Even America's own politicians can't seem to stop talking about how messed up things are.
Okay.
Well, today we're going to take a deeper look. Are things really as bad as everyone seems to think they are?
Right, let's see.
I'm Mike with this 25, and these are 25 common misconceptions about the United States.
This is going to be super interesting. Me being from the UK, I'm going to let you guys know if that's what I thought, and then if I was proven wrong, etc, etc. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man.
That simply aren't true.
Let's see.
And as a very important note, this list was produced by both a United States citizen and 2 European citizens that relocated to the United States.
Okay.
It's written to be as fair as possible.
Wait, he said 2 Europeans. Wait, 2 Europeans that moved to America?
That relocated to the United States.
Okay.
It's written to be as fair as possible. No, I'm not 2 Europeans.
What?
Or am I?
Right,
let's begin with a really common thought. Americans are ignorant about the world. Americans are held to an unrealistic standard.
I know why this is. I know why this is already. It's because a lot of Americans that I've spoke to anyway, a lot of Americans seem to have not been anywhere other than America, right? But I totally get that. Do you know what I'm saying? Your country is that big, you don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you have like 50 countries in one.
The rest of the world watch our movies and listen to our music. They know a lot about our country. But let's be honest.
Right.
They never studied it. People actually complain that Americans don't even know that Czechoslovakia doesn't exist anymore. But neither does half the United Kingdom. And
oh, I'm glad he said that because I was just thinking. Wait, Czechoslovakia don't actually exist, do they? No, they don't. But like, that took me a while to realize.
They're on the same continent.
Okay.
It turns out that all of us are pretty bad at geography.
True.
You'd think America would be better at it. However, considering another common thought is that America spends its days spying on everyone.
Not everyone?
And that's true. But who doesn't?
True, yeah.
Germany,
Facts.
France, Switzerland, Japan, Iceland, and all the rest of us spy on each other and ourselves.
True.
Moving on, America has been called racist. Please don't take this the wrong way. Racism definitely exists.
Sure.
And it makes the news.
Bro, this is like, bro, racism is unfortunately everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
but you know what else? America also has a vicious media, and all of the world watches it.
That's
sometimes
so
more than
right.
their own media. So when something super bad happens in other countries,
it's blown up.
It might not even make the back page.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that is, bro, that's facts, man. Let's say some crazy stuff is happening in a European country. Yeah, he just said his own words, it might not even make the back page, bro. In America, the slightest thing happens, boom, it's everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Next, it's a common misconception that Americans don't use public transport. While it's true that we use cars a lot, many regions in America have great public transport.
Right.
Or at least just as good as Europe. Besides, what good is a train if nobody can afford it? We're looking at you, UK.
What?
Moving on.
Yo, you call UK poor? Yo, to be fair, listen. We're going through it right now, I ain't gonna lie. People are struggling, bro. And I think people are struggling all around the world, but in the UK, bro, we're going through it. We're going through
America does / is fill in the blank. America is far from being a unified entity. Each state has its own laws, cultures, and quirks.
Yep.
Some states have the death penalty. Some don't.
Oh, wow.
Some have strict gun laws, and some don't.
They're so
Some
different.
have free college. Some don't. Some have tax, and Yeah, some don't.
Huh? Wait, there's some places in America that don't have tax? Well, like, I don't have to pay tax on, like, at all? Yo, tell me in the comments right now. No. I'm moving to the States. Like, is it working tax? I don't have to pay working tax?
So, just like you can't say Europe is
Income?
so-and-so, you can't say the same about the U.S.
Right.
As an additional note, the states are far more independent than many of us realize. In fact, every state even has its own military, known as the Guard. Furthermore, some states pass legislation that directly contradicts the federal government.
Wait, states have their own military? Yo, you know what's crazy? I bet you some of the states' military could actually take on countries, bro.
This is because in the U.S., the federal government is not the highest authority. The states are.
Oh, wow. Wait.
The federal states pass legislation, even has its own military, known as the Guard. Furthermore, some states pass legislation that directly contradicts the federal government. This is because in the U.S., the federal government is not the highest authority. The states are.
What?
To further establish the fact that America isn't a single entity, many believe that Americans only speak one language.
Right.
But that's no different from the rest of the world. Have you ever been to France? Or the UK? Or Italy?
UK?
How about China? Most of them only speak one language too.
Right.
That being said, over 20%...
I swear loads of people in America do speak. You know what? I guarantee you more people in America speak another language than in the UK, than just English.
...percent of the US is bilingual.
Oh, wow. Wait, 20%?
That being said, over 20% of the US is bilingual.
Oh, wow. That's quite a lot.
Let's talk about the military, because people outside the US will preach that America's military does, again, fill in the blank.
Does everything.
Nobody is naive enough to think that the US doesn't have selfish interests in mind when it invades a country.
Right.
There isn't a nation on earth that would do that selflessly. But whenever the bad goes down, it's just as common for other countries to complain that America should do something. On a more or less lighter note...
Yo! He's cooking!
Americans are fat! You ever been to the UK lately?
What? Yo!
There are even scandals because obese patients are getting turned down for surgery.
What? In the UK? Yo, when I think about it though, there are a lot of fat people in the UK. I ain't gonna lie. And you know what I've heard actually that's pretty interesting? I've heard that people who's gone to America expected to see loads of fat people, but then they were surprised. Like, even though there is a load of fat people, right? There's a load of really fit people, like healthy, proper, like muscle fit people, right? And they were saying it was actually a crazy amount to the point where, like, when you're in the UK, you don't see anywhere near that many. It's like, you got a lot of fat people, you got a lot of fit people. What, you just don't have the in between? Like, in the UK, we got a lot of in between and fat, right? The fit people, you don't really see too much. They are there, but not crazy, not crazy. So you kind of, like, America's like extreme to extreme, bro. Extreme to extreme, but you got a lot of good food. I definitely will be on the fat side. Ain't gonna lie.
Yes, America does have an obesity problem.
Big bellies.
But not all citizens are involved in it. I am. A big part of the United States is fairly health conscious and is consistently working to help the overweight population better their lives.
Cool.
Thanks, healthy people. And while we aren't perfect, many complain that America is worse than other developed nations in, well, everything.
How?
There are many statistics, child mortality, literacy, etc., where the US falls behind countries like Norway and Iceland. But those statistics are based on averages. In Norway, most of the 5 million inhabitants are rich, white, and Norwegian. If you took a similar sample of rich, white Americans in the US, you would find that the statistics are almost exactly the same.
Okay, good point.
The fact is that the US is hugely diverse.
Right.
And the American experience is completely different with and without money. Translation? The problem isn't healthcare or education, it's economic inequality, almost exclusively.
Right.
And speaking of inequality, many make the simple but powerful assumption that America just isn't safe.
Okay, I'm pausing here because this is something that I felt personally as well before I started checking these videos out, right? So before, I definitely was one that was like, America, like, I'd be scared to go to America. Do you know what I mean? I'd be scared. It seems unsafe. But that's because of the media just blows it at like crazy, bro. The media blows it so crazy, it's mad. I feel like everyone's got a gun on them. Everyone's, do you know what I mean? But yeah, checking out these videos and actually learning about it and talking to you guys, I know that's the case. I know a lot of you guys haven't even seen guns. A lot of you will have guns, but a lot of you haven't seen guns. You don't see them out and about all the time. So yeah, it's definitely the media just going crazy with this one.
This is usually what foreign citizens say until they actually come here.
Right.
By this same logic, Paris, Brussels, London, Madrid, and almost every other city in Europe is unsafe as well.
Yeah, true.
Yes, there are guns, but most Americans have never seen or heard a gun being fired.
Yeah, what
In
I
fact,
just
most
said.
Swiss citizens are much more familiar with gunfire than us Americans.
Oh, really?
All this being said so far,
Wait, is Switzerland? Switzerland is I just said Switzerland. Is Switzerland legal guns?
our people still expect all Americans to relish in the life of our stereotypes. Guns, fast food, and freedom! What I'm saying is a lot of the world looks at America as overly patriotic.
Right.
But here's an honest question. Have you ever met a Russian, Australian, a proud member of the UK?
Okay. He said proud member of the UK. I wouldn't really say UK is that patriotic unless you find a proud member. Like, you go to the local pub, you see the guy with the England top on, football top, right? That's the guy. That's the proud one.
There's no shame in having pride in your country.
No, there's not. There's not.
Us Americans are definitely patriotic.
I like that.
But so is the rest of the world. As they should be. It's not a crime to be proud of where you came from. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't stop others from thinking we only complain and boast about America whenever we travel abroad.
Everyone does.
This is largely anecdotal. In America, Americans like to complain just like the rest of us.
Yep.
Only a few of them ever even leave the country, so you're meeting an unrepresentative sample.
That's
But
crazy,
in
though.
their
How
defense,
many
many
people
times, they're right. Yes, this can hit hard in the pride spot, but maybe Europeans could stand to smile a bit more, right?
That is true. Yo, there's so many grumpy, miserable people in the UK. I've said this in so many videos. So grumpy and miserable, man. But what I was saying is, like, it's crazy that a lot of you guys haven't been out of America. But the way everyone's got to see it, right, is like, you guys have 50 states. A state is as big as a country in Europe. You know what I mean? It's literally, America is like me not going out of Europe. Does that make sense? Like, I've never been outside of Europe, right? Whereas, like, you guys haven't been outside of America. Bro, that's the same. It's the same distance. In fact, I bet you any money, you guys in America probably traveled on a plane longer than I have. So my longest flight ever was to Greece, and that was 4 hours, right? That's my longest flight ever outside of the country. And I guarantee you there's so many people that's been on a plane longer than 4 hours in America.
No? Okay, fine. Back to the apathetic, leave me alone face. By the way, that part was written for our European representative. By our
So don't get in
European
trouble.
representative. I love all of you. Anyways, statistics viewed by outsiders show that the U.S. is lagging behind.
Ready?
Similar to topics we've already discussed, there's another factor that we have to take into account. Reporting. Every nation reports its own
But all the big companies are based in America, bro. How are they lacking? What?
statistics. This means that making statistical comparisons between two developed nations, like the US and the UK, is an exercise in futility. The data is just too close and won't reveal much except that the US counts people one way and the US counts them another.
Right.
That still doesn't make this misconception true. Americans are fake. Here's the thing. In Europe, citizens are almost proud of the fact that they're really standoffish.
Yeah, they are.
But once you get to know them, they're your friend for life.
Right.
Well, here's a newsflash. Once you get to know an American, they'll also be your friend for life. The thing is, though, they don't use this as an excuse to be a jerk in the beginning.
Yo, listen, in the UK, right? This is so true, bro. In the UK, it's so hard to make that initial engagement to make a friend, right? Because we only open up when the barrier's been broke already. But you got to break the barrier, you know what I'm saying? So, like, the best way to put it is, let's say I'm going to the bar in the UK. I wouldn't imagine I would come out of that bar with a new friend, right? Or someone easy that I spoke to. Everyone just keeps themselves to themselves, right? In America, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if I went to the bar, I would probably come out with someone that I spoke to, like a new friend, right? Or at least it would be easy to speak to people. I feel like that's the case.
This list sounds great coming from an American. I was totally the one who should have read this one, but I digress.
He's good.
On a totally different but very popular misconception, Americans are the only ones who call football soccer. Actually, a lot of the world calls it soccer.
Wait, how many people call it soccer?
Even parts of Ireland still call it soccer.
Wait, do they?
Oh, what do I mean by still? I'm glad you asked. It was actually the British who coined the term soccer. The word soccer is an abbreviation of association.
Right.
And first appeared in universities in the 1880s, sometime using the variant spelled soccer with a K.
So technically, the first original name is soccer. So you Americans are just calling it by its original name.
The word is sometimes credited to Charles Redford Brown, an Oxford University student said to have been fond of shortened forms such as brekkers for breakfast and rugger for rugby football.
Okay.
Britain actually started using the word football in the late 20th century, possibly because people incorrectly saw it as an Americanism. This next one, Tristan couldn't believe. Could you not?
No.
I'm learning something. To our American viewers, did you know that people in Europe make fun of you for using air conditioning? Why do they need it? Why don't they just leave the window open? Mosquitoes? At least in Florida. But here's why they might be joining us soon. During the 2003 European heatwave, 70,000 people died.
Huh?
This was in large part due to the fact that European homes and buildings are not typically equipped with air conditioning.
First of all, who is making fun of AC? I'm jealous. When I get my new house, right, or whenever I get a new house, like I'm renting right now, so whenever I get like a new house, I'm probably gonna get AC installed or get at least a portable AC, right? I need it, bro, for the summer. And secondly, I'm not surprised that many people is dying, honestly. The homes are built to keep heat in. So when it's the summer, it's really, really bad. Like we might have lower temperatures than you guys in America, but our homes keep the heat in. It's horrible. It is actually horrible. Even though the temperature's lower, we're just dying inside. It's unbearable. It actually is.
While they laugh at the Americans for this, hotter summers are going to force them to take appropriate measures.
Yeah.
Especially since children and the elderly are very susceptible. Again, I stand by mosquitoes. I'm not opening my window in the summer. Winter, absolutely. Open windows.
You still get bugs in though. Like I hate opening windows. I do when it's really hot, but you just get so many flies and it's horrible.
The top 9, that's a
top
weird number. Top 9. Many parts of the world accuse the United States of accounting for 25% of the world's carbon emissions. Not so nice. But it also accounts for 25% of the world's economic activity.
Okay.
The truth is that several nations, including countries like Canada, have higher per capita emissions than the US.
Okay.
Next, let's talk about how the world thinks Americans are ruining English.
Huh?
Actually, both British English and American English have diverged from a common 16th century ancestral standard. And in some ways, American English is closer to the original than British English.
That does surprise me.
For example, American English has, for the most part, retained the language's rotosity, pronunciation of the R in words like hard, while British has, for the most part, dropped it. Furthermore, this shift in British English...
We dropped the R in hard, so we say had. Huh?
In the language's rotosity, pronunciation of the R in words like hard, while British has, for the most part,
hard. I'm confused.
Dropped it. Furthermore, this shift in British English happened around the time of the American Revolution when wealthier Londoners wanted to distinguish themselves from the lower classes. This is only one example, but it goes to show that British English is not an unchanging standard any more than American English.
Right.
On a totally different note, did you know that Americans don't all live in the suburbs? Nope, not true.
Really?
The fact is that in America, you have plenty of people that live in cities like New York, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Chicago, Boston, and the list goes on. In fact, several regions of the United States are very European, like the Northeast Corridor, for example. The difference between the US and Europe is that if you want to live in the suburbs in the US, you can, but you don't have to.
Cool.
Now, this next one is just offensive. Americans are all dumb rednecks.
Okay.
While there are certainly Americans who fit this stereotype, the vast majority don't.
Yo, if you actually think that, though, like, if you genuinely think that, bro, their brain, I feel sorry. I feel sorry, bro. Like, their brain must be, like, pea-sized, man.
Americans live in cities near the coasts. Most of them are educated, and most of them are not very different from Europeans in any significant way.
Right.
Every country has a less educated populace that they themselves make fun of. Even sophisticated nations like Sweden and Switzerland. Fair warning, the last 5 on our list get a bit dark and crazy, starting with the idea that America is imperialistic. In many parts of Europe,
like Star Wars? Like Star Wars, like the Sith? Like what? They want to make a group and take over? Like, huh?
With the idea that America is imperialistic.
It's a cool flag.
In many parts of Europe, the United States is seen as an aggressive imperial power, even more so than Russia and China.
What does that mean?
This is largely because our military presence both in Europe and everywhere else. But in our strong defense, Americans never forced you to watch our movies, quarter our soldiers, obey our laws, or get permission to leave your own countries. It was the Russians that did that, and much, much more. Food for thought, after World War II, the Americans...
I'm not going to lie, I don't really know what he's meaning by this, so if someone could explain in the comments, I'd appreciate that.
...liberated and left. The Russians liberated and stayed.
Yikes.
All right, number 4 is sure to be a shocker to a lot of foreigners. Americans don't actually all walk around with guns. It's just not true.
What?
Except for a few places... The only people you'll ever see...
You know what, though? If you don't actually look into America, like I've been watching the video stuff, I'm telling you so many people believe this. I'm telling you so many people believe this. I did. I hold my hands up. I'm sorry. I did. It's the media, man.
Americans don't actually all walk around with guns. It's just not true.
Right.
Except for a few places, the only people you'll ever see carrying guns in America are the police. In fact, you'll see more people walking around with guns in Switzerland than you ever would in America.
Yeah, Switzerland must be like, you're allowed guns. Because he keeps saying it.
Okay. We admit that, like most stereotypes, there is some truth to this next one, but it's...
And if that's true, that is crazy, bro. And it shows how much the media has to play. Because if Switzerland does allow guns, nobody ever talks about that, bro. No, like, because I hear over and over again, gun problem this, gun problem that, gun problem this, gun problem that. But if Switzerland has got... Wait, hold on. I need to check now. I need to check. Can you have guns in Switzerland? Okay. It says, oh, depending on the type of weapon, you will require a sales contract. A permit? Oh, okay. So you can. You can, but I think it's just a little bit more like, there's a little bit more to it. Okay, so you can, but there's a little bit more to it. Interesting. I'm not going to look too much into it because I'm doing this video, but interesting.
Been wildly blown out of proportion. Americans are all crazy Christian right-wingers. There's something so right about saying it with that accent. Yes, there are a lot of Christians in America, and while some of them are crazy right-wingers, most of them aren't. In fact, if you ever get a chance to go and stay with one of those crazy Christian families, you'll see that most of them are just genuinely sweet people that go to church on Sundays.
Okay.
This next one sounds like a legit stand-up joke. If you get injured and can't pay for it, you'll just die in the street. Yeah, many people in Europe think this is what happens in America. As with most things that concern America, they're wrong.
Yo. Listen. I have made that joke before, but I know it's not true. It's only because you guys have told me, like, you've been charged like $5 grand for the ambulance. So, like, I've heard people get taxes instead of the ambulance. So I'm like, yo, What if you're like dying, right? You can't pay for it. You need the ambulance. Will you just die? Like, bro, what?
You can't be denied emergency medical care in the U.S. That would go against the Hippocratic Oath.
Cool.
The difference is that you get a bill in the mail a few months later.
Right.
Of course, debt is another issue, but let's get into that right now. Americans are all in debt. Actually, European citizens carry more debt than Americans. The average household debt in the U.S., OECD, is 113% of the household's income. In the UK, OECD, is 113% than Americans. The average household debt in the US, OECD, is 113% of the household's income.
113%.
In the UK, it's 156%.
In the UK?
113% of the household's income. In the UK, it's 156%.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Because with the America hospital, I've heard loads of people going in debt because of that, right? So you guys get in debt from your hospital. Our hospital and stuff is free, right? So the fact that we're still more in debt than you lot, averagely, that's crazy. What?
In Sweden, 173.
Yo!
And in Denmark, it's a whopping 305%. So,
what, is everyone in debt in Denmark?
Some misconceptions about the US that you'd like cleared up. Or do you live in America and want to put a stereotype to rest?
This is a good video.
Let us know in the comments below.
This is a really good video. Make sure you go check him out. His link will be in the description. Let me know what you guys think to those 25 misconceptions in the comments, your opinions. Yeah, really cool. Really enjoyed it. Learned a lot in this video, so that was great. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/L3WG. If you guys want to check me out over there, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.